Education, they say, is the foundational pillar for a nation's development. It drives progress, and it is a building block upon which sustainable growth, innovation, and social advancement are built on. As the world keeps evolving, adapting best practices in terms of innovation into the educational system is significant in shaping future generations that are sound. But without a viable system in place, the hopes of recording successes can be diminished. Recently, the West African Examinations Council temporarily withdrew access to the 2025 West African Senior School Certificate examination results for its candidates, following technical issues during an internal review process. Now, from the release of results, many candidates reported scored below their expectations and practice test scores, prompting concerns about the validity of the results. Also, if you recall, some months back, the 2025 UTME experienced similar technical glitches, leading to widespread complaints of unusually low scores and a call for a review by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. Now, these technical glitches that has affected the operations of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board and the West African Examinations Council have raised concerns and questions arise on the credibility and reliability of standardized testing systems in the country. So what can the examination bodies, do to improve the situation to build public confidence in the fairness and accuracy of critical academic assessments? Tonight, the focus is on ways of overcoming technical glitches in exams, and our guest is Dr. Philip John Hayab. He's an educationist. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. This is Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguwele. Now, before we delve into the issues, let's bring you the news. Security forces have captured 2 top Ansaru leaders wanted for deadly attacks, including the 2022 Kuje prison break. National Security Advisor Nuhu Rabadu at a news conference in Abuja confirmed the arrest of Mahmoud Mohammed Usman, also known as Abu Bara, and Abubakar Abba, also known as Malam Mahmouda. The 2 men described as central figures of the Ansaru terrorist network. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
Concluded a high-risk intelligence-led.
The Ansaru group, with long-standing links to Al-Qaeda terrorist organization, has been responsible for several high-profile terror operations in Nigeria. Among them, the attack on Kuje Correctional Facility, which freed hundreds of inmates. Abubakar Abba, alias Malam Mahmouda, was not only the supreme leader of the Mahmoud terror group, but also a foreign-trained militant having undergone extremist training in Libya.
The group was first formed in January 2012 with a public declaration in Kano. It emerged as a splinter faction from Boko Haram, positioning itself as a humane alternative. However, its stated aim quickly turned into attacking Nigerian security agencies.
His arrest, alongside Abu Bara, is seen as deflating Ansaru's central command. The fall of Ansaru's leadership represents a critical step in dismantling extremist networks in Nigeria.
The federal government, under the able leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has consistently maintained that Nigeria will indeed be free for all Nigerians. Therefore, what we have witnessed today is another indication of the commitment of not just the president, but all those who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that lives and property are protected in this country under the able leadership of the National Security Advisor and all the service chiefs. I have maintained consistently that you do not seed your front pages or your headlines to these terrorist criminals who are trying day and night to make sure that all of us do not find a place to sleep in this country.
Mahmouda terror group has been responsible for terrorizing parts of north-central Nigeria, particularly Bagu in Niger State and parts of Kwara State. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Stakeholders in Ebonyi State have spoken on behalf of the minds of their people and confidently expressed unrelenting support for the current administration, both at federal and state levels. This was at a town hall meeting in Abakaliki. Well, they stated that the ongoing infrastructure rebirth in the southeast informed their position to remain ambassadors of the renewed hope agenda. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
The ambience of a happy people at the Christian Economical Center in Abakaliki made the engagement between the people and the federal government delegation led by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, that of a homecoming. He explained federal government policies and attributed their impact to the judicious implementation of the post-subsidy regime plan that is supporting the state and local governments to fast-track development.
Before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in as president, there is not any serious federal government project here in the Ebonyi State. And there are not so many federal government projects scattered around the southeast. Today, from Enugu to Abakaliki, everywhere you follow, all the roads, all the bridges, all the flyovers are being done either by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or what your governors are doing. Now, what this tells me is that because the president says he wants to collaborate with these governors, you are having peace and you are having money at the disposal of the state government to continue to deliver dividends of democracy to all of you.
Elated with the infrastructural renaissance in the southeast, Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwefuru promised to sustain efforts in delivering dividends of democracy as a worthy ambassador of the renewed hope.
I am happy that I am the governor at this period. You can see the reason, because I have a man who is the president of this country who believes in building subnationals through their leaders. And that is why this development is ongoing. You can see that Ebonyi has come of age. And we are competing with other states.
Ebonyi State is the fastest growing state in this country. Ebonyi State is the most peaceful state in this country.
In all the 5 states in Ebonyi State, in Southeast, only Ebonyi State, you don't have sit down at home on Monday. Cottage shall not be governor. Because we have engaged all of us.
We are happy the way the affairs of the country has been piloted for the past 2 years plus.
Citizens Engagement Initiative is encouraging and expanding the two-way communication strategy and increasing direct feedback on government activities between the people and government. In Abakaliki, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
In a related development, President Bola Tinubu has approved the release of 16.7 billion naira for the immediate reconstruction of the Mokwa Bridge in Niger State, which was destroyed by the flooding in May this year. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this in Abakaliki after a meeting with the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi. Here is Saliu Abdullahi Gwanara with that report. Again.
3 months ago in Makwa, Niger State, a devastating flood occurred that claimed the lives of several persons and displaced hundreds of families. The bridge in Makwa, linking the northern and southern parts of the country, was not also spared. However, efforts by the federal government to ensure the rebuilding process of the affected Makwa Bridge has yielded results.
The president, before he traveled out yesterday, graciously approved the immediate reconstruction of, the Mokwa Bridge, as requested by the Honorable Minister. He graciously approved, because of him. And also he requested himself and NSA the reconstruction of the washed away, 5-span bridge of Wokari in Taraba State, But he's a man that is very fair. And each time he does something, he touches the entire geopolitical zone.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation says the approval underscores the administration's responsiveness to urgent infrastructure needs.
My senatorial district, we want to thank Mr. President, and we want to thank the Honorable Minister of Works. We jointly discussed about this, and we approached Mr. President, and Mr. President graciously approved that bridge. It means a lot for the people of my state. 16.7 billion to reconstruct that bridge. It's a 10-span bridge. We want to thank Mr. President, and I feel really very honored. And when we discussed with the president and said this means a lot for us, he quickly appended his signature. And so we feel very happy. The Minister of Works, even though he's from Ebonyi, he was the first set of people that sent people to Mokwa to go and look at what is happening there. And only yesterday or 2 days ago, Mr. President graciously approved that Mokwa bridge for our people. We feel very, very honored for that. I know that even our governor will be very, very happy to hear this.
Thank you. There was reassurance here that the Tinubu administration's infrastructural projects are designed and being executed across the country. In Abakaliki, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
In other news, Vice President Kashim Shettima has commended Zenith Bank for instilling a culture of innovation and integrity into Nigeria's financial standards. He made the remark in Lagos during the 35th anniversary of the bank, saying beyond reforming, or rather performing excellently in protecting Nigeria's wealth, the bank has also nurtured the nation's dreams.
So as we gather to celebrate Zenith Bank at 35, we are honoring a culture where innovation is instinct, where integrity is non-negotiable, and where service to humanity is as important as service to shareholders. On behalf of the government and people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, may the next 35 years find you still breaking barriers, still setting standards, and still proving that in Nigeria, greatness is not an exception, it's an expectation.
The Vice President attended the bank's anniversary as a proud alumnus of the financial institution, saying while some financial institutions exist mainly to expand their profit margins year after year, there are other banks that are writing history. The value addition policy of the federal government in the solid minerals sector has started attracting revenue here to the government and creating jobs for the youth. Officials of the World Bank and the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development stated this while inspecting Asba and Wisdom Lithium plant in Abuja to assess the level of compliance with the policy. Mia Ogedi reports.
Value addition is Minister Dele's deal with any investor in the solid minerals sector. And this informed his active participation in the groundbreaking of Asba and Wisdom Lithium plant in Wasa, Abuja, April 2024. 16 months later, forest turned to an industrial hub. Delegation from the Solid Minerals Ministry and the World Bank taking a tour of the plant and impressed with the new dawn in the solid minerals sector in Nigeria.
What I've seen here is actually magnificent. And this is an example of what Nigerians can do given the right opportunities. We are now transiting from the oil sector and into oil to green energy. And I think Nigeria is now putting the right infrastructure to lead in this.
Sitting on 400,000 hectares of land, with 2 separation plants for metal and lithium, capable of producing 1.6 million tons per annum, providing 1,200 skilled and unskilled jobs.
Before we are exporting the raw material, then this government said no, we need to add value. So we come up with this. So, and all this is courtesy of Mr. President, Renew Hope Agenda, and the Honorable Minister, Dr. Henry Oladele Alaike, is giving us a maximum support. So if government policy is good, you can be able to excel. You can be able to do whatever you want to do. So, and this one, the revenue for the government is going to be around $500 million per annum. And this is the first one.
4 underground tunnels with 200 meters long, capable to feed the plant for 50 years. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
By-elections into 2 vacant senatorial seats in Anambra and Edo State House of Representatives and State Houses of Assembly seats are currently ongoing. Mie Ogidi reports that sorting and counting of ballot still in process.
16th of April 2025, hosting 16 by-elections. And elections were as a result of death or resignation by members in 12 states, 2 senatorial districts, 5 House of Representatives, and 9 state assembly seats. 3.5 million voters participating. Reactions from the states differ. In some, low turnout, others, appreciable level of turnout. Electoral materials arrived early.
I am pleasantly surprised that there's also a very impressive turnout. Everybody seems to be going about voting orderly, peacefully.
We see what we call voter apathy, and this is not good. The turnout is so low compared to the general election. I mean, it is not unexpected.
A lot of security personnel that is present here, and as I've observed, there's no violence.
What we have experienced here today is very good. Our women, our men, our youth, they are all on ground.
Edo Central Senatorial District became vacant following the emergence of Monday Okpebolo as governor of the state, while the death of Senator Ifeanyi Uba created vacancy for Anambra South.
But we have the confidence with the will of the people that at the end of the day, the will of the people will prevail.
You can see the frustration. The beavers is just too slow. It takes a lot of time before you can log in. It's a big problem. So I think INEC need to look into this.
Auda Nepad, Nigeria, created a situation room and monitored the election in Abuja.
Beavers has been working excellently. I think it's only in Kano we were hinted that we had skirmishes of issues somewhere, which has been immediately nipping the bud. Generally, the election has been very, very peaceful, and I want to commend INEC for this.
For many, the elections are a litmus test for INEC ahead of the November 8th governorship election in Anambra State. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
In a move to bring government closer to the people, Governor Muhammadu Inuwa has presented an executive bill to the Gombe State House of Assembly, seeking the creation of 13 local council development areas from existing 11 local government areas. Emmanuel Akila reports on the public hearing on the bill, which has gone through the first and second readings at the floor of the House.
The public hearing brings representatives of the people and other stakeholders before the Gombe State House of Assembly to make their inputs on the executive bill.
People, have expressed their opinion fearlessly, and some, have made, certain submission and criticized certain provision of the bill, of which I believe the House of Assembly will take cognizance of those criticisms because they are constructive.
We are taxing members of our National Assembly to not hesitate, compliment the effort of His Excellency Governor Mohammed Inuwa speedily by ensuring that they have slotted this particular effort. They also give it effect so that it will not only remain as an LCDA, but it will become a legally recognized local government.
I want the Honorable House to plead with the state government to include more women in the administration, because as women, we are the builder of a community.
The House promises expeditious passage of the bill, looking at its acceptance by the people.
Based on the submissions and inputs of Gombe State citizens, it is clear and very pertinent that 99.9% of our citizens are in support of this very important bill.
The bill, which proposes the local council development areas as subdivisions of the existing local government areas, cites provision of security, enhanced access to education, and provision of quality healthcare services to the people at the grassroots as yearnings of the people of the state. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
All right, we'll take a break now, and when we come back, we'll start a conversation on ways to overcome technical glitches in exams. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. Across Nigeria, efforts to expand digital infrastructure are ongoing. Yet some examination centers, particularly in rural areas, still face challenges of unstable power supply, limited internet access and shortage of trained technical personnel. With computer-based testing now the standard for many national examinations, you agree with me that addressing these gaps has become even more important. In this report, Olayinka Ojo looks at the issues and highlights steps being taken to ensure a smoother, more inclusive process for all candidates.
For the Tuesday glitch, the service providers concerned with the result were deployed to effect the patch. In the process of rectifying the issue, the technical personnel deployed by our service provider for LAG, Lagos and Southeast zones, inadvertently failed to update some of the delivery servers.
When the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB admits to technical glitches during the conduct of the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) and apologized to the nation, rescheduling more than 300,000 candidates for a receipt, many thought that would be the last of such incidents for this year. Little did we know that the West African Examination Council would follow suit.
The Council, being accountable, transparent, and credible organization, further investigated all the serialized papers and discovered that the serialized code file was wrongly used in the printing of English language objective test, which was paper 3.
When the 2025 Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination SSC results were released last week, only 38.32% of candidates obtained 5 credits and above, including mathematics and English.
The Council sincerely apologized for this imbroglio and deeply regrets the emotional and mental dismay it might have caused the affected candidates.
Government should sit down and look at the policy framework on how do we catch up. How do you catch up? What do you do? How do you help the people in the villages and so? And these things are doable because there are Nigerians, I'm sure you know, who are very, very good, very, very vast in this ICT business. Have a look at them. What she has to do is to mobilize them, put them in a room and ask them the question, come up with a strategic blueprint.
Educationists say early engagement with schools, students, parents, and technology experts is key. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
All right, there you have it. So let's expand the discourse. We have a guest here in the studio, Dr. Philip John Hayab. He's an educationist. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Hayab.
Thank you for having me.
So let's begin this way. Technical glitches are inevitable, no doubt. Systems can fail, right?
Yes.
But could those situations, talking about for JAM and WAEC, could it have been avoided, going by your assessment?
Yes, I think one of the challenges we've had is we hardly ever pilot. By piloting in education, we mean that we are supposed to test in-house before we go out there to announce that these results are ready. I think one of the problems we've got is of speed. We're trying to catch up with the speed of the world and not checking how prepared we are. So, for instance, in the UMTE results, there we had these glitches. I was expecting that WAEC would, and other bodies will take precaution, and before you say results are out, you should, for instance, test your systems for a minimum, to my mind, of 24 hours, cross-check and verify before you come out to the public to say these results are ready. Now, for us to come out to say results are ready, and then all of a sudden in another few minutes, hours, we go back, is a show that we are not fully prepared to catch up with the world with the way the ethical practice actually is.
So, Dr. Hayab, would you say is a case of failure in the aspect of inadequacy in the operational system? Could there have been something that could have been done appropriately? Or we had the JAM registrar in his talk there in that report, how some technical personnel, pushing it, kind of some lapses.
Yes, so this is where the whole problem is. Yes, I mean, internationally, there are sometimes with technology, you have cases of bugs. For instance, we implemented a program recently with some people from the UK, and we had a bug. So yes, it can happen anywhere. But then this is an exam that has a lot to do with someone's future. Then we need to begin to test our level of sincerity. I'm talking about those who are shouldered with the responsibility of verifying, checking, and imputing the results into the systems, particularly the ICTP experts. Sometimes there could be cases of sabotage, and to my mind, I suspect that this is one of the problems. The more we become diligent, the more we become meticulous, the earlier we get to that, the better, because we cannot continue to have these glitches. It reduces the confidence that people have in these bodies, and something has to be done to nip these problems in the bud.
And talking about problems, addressing these gaps, we're hearing inadequate infrastructure, system failures. You talked about the readiness of the country in terms of delving into innovations like this. How would you recommend, for a system like this to be overhauled?
Yeah, so as a teacher, I've always advocated for integration of technology. When I sat for WAEC and many others who may be watching, it took us several months before the exams, the results were out. We were patient. Yeah. We waited. For me, I remember I waited for about 6 months before I got to know what happened. And we survived. I think the speed at which we are going is not bad, but we need to slow down and take an overhaul of our system to see how efficient this is. The earlier we begin to check this level of readiness, what is the preparedness? For me, I would say, if I'm to be the JAM registrar or the WAEC boss, I will ensure that the results, you have a demo of release of results within in-house, and then you can do some piloting. Maybe a few students from elsewhere should check, and this is not official results. Until once you are clear with this, you don't come out and say these results are ready. I think the reputation of these glitches, the story is becoming something that we should do away with and begin to move towards excellence as the case is expected.
And talking about expectation, we'll pick up with a conversation. Dr. Hayab, let's take a break. Thank you for staying with us. Well, the conversation is still on the recent technical glitches we experienced by the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and, of course, the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, which has raised concerns about education systems and processes in the country. Our correspondent, Chimaroke Ugu, in this report sampled the opinions of Enugu residents on approaches that could be adopted to improve the situation.
Technical glitches do not only disrupt the examination process, but also cause undue stress and anxiety for candidates. The recent technical glitches experienced during the conduct of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and the West African Senior School Certificate Examination have highlighted the need for examination bodies and schools to improve their technical infrastructure and processes. To address this challenge, respondents in Enugu emphasized the need for examination bodies and schools to take proactive measures to prevent and mitigate technical glitches through investment in robust and modern technology.
It's high time for them, the examining bodies and the chief executives, to look inward, to find out where the systemic failures are coming from, whether it is that of manpower or that of technology.
There is a necessity that both the board in charge of the examination, the Joint Admission Board, Matriculation Board, the Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, State Ministry of Education, the state government and the federal government has to sit up at this time.
They maintain that the fight against technical glitches requires a multifaceted approach. Taking these measures will minimize the risk of technical glitches and ultimately contribute to a more efficient and effective education system in Nigeria. In Enugu, Chimaroke Ugu, NTA News.
All right, Dr. Hayab, you've seen the report from Enugu, and we're hearing different responses and all of that. Let's look at the aspect of building confidence again in the system, looking at credibility, reliability. What are your thoughts?
Yes, so one of the biggest problems that we've had in recent past, that is with regards to these glitches, is that it brings into question how credible our system or the bodies that are responsible for these examinations are. For me, I haven't lost confidence. For instance, it happened that my daughter was also part of the candidates who sat for JAM this year and also for WAEC. And when we had those challenges, I was like, yeah, whatever she has written will come the way it is. So we must get to a point where as citizens, we don't look at every glitch or maybe a difficulty as an opportunity for somebody to sabotage. So yes, there is a huge problem that we need to work hard in order to gain the confidence of the citizenry, and particularly the affected candidates, whether those who have experienced it or the prospective ones. I would expect that 2026 we don't have any of these glitches, even if it means that we elongate the time that it takes or it took this year to bring out the results, so as we can have something more durable next year. Sometimes it is too much hurry that causes the trouble, I would say, in the context of what is happening. So we need to rebuild the confidence of the people. Let our A be our A. We don't have to release one result twice. That is not good for the 21st century.
And we're getting reports, that there will be speculations, transition of CBT for entrance examinations. Do you see that feasible with what it's been experienced so far?
Yes, CBT examinations is only possible for multiple choice questions, such as the objective. Incidentally, I'm a teacher of English, and as a teacher of English, I will not support completely writing an English exams using the CBT, because one of the greatest problems that we've got is the young people of nowadays do not read as much as we read in the past, though they have more opportunities to literature, but I'm not sure they are curious about reading. So they have problems with language in terms of expression. And so when we just go CBT, someone can score 100 over 100, and yet they will not be able to say whether a sentence actually starts with a capital letter.
Or even those essays we could write.
Those essays.
Yeah.
So CBT, yes, for the objective test, I believe that will speed up the process of processing the results. But then for the essay part, I will advocate that we continue to make it to write. More so that WAEC, for instance, is not just in Nigeria, it's a West African examination board. So we're talking about West African nations. The Nigerian government, through the Ministry of Education, should partner with these other West African countries to talk about how we can come under one umbrella and process something that is doable for our time, something that is practicable and also is achievable. So yes, CBT, yes, for the objectives, but for the essay part, I will insist that we continue to write it in the way it has always been in the past, until when technology develops better in this part of the world and we can talk about then everything computer, right? Asking the students to also write using the computers, and that might even take also bring other challenges, but then with time I believe we can catch up with the pace.
You know, you just raised a salient point. It brings my next question on this literacy aspect of the use of computer by the students, which could be a gap also, especially for those in the rural areas. Yes. The aspect of sensitization and the right tutoring to ensure that they're also a par with those in the urban centers. How do we bridge this gap?
Yes, so this is one of the greatest problems of our time. Students who happen to go to school in urban areas, to a large extent when it comes to the use of the computer, may have more opportunities. One of the issues we're dealing with now in terms of learning poverty is that it has been proven that most of the learners with learning poverty are actually coming from low-income families. Yeah. So when we fashion out a program such as writing exams using the CBT, we should take cognizance of the multitude of learners who are in areas where the chances to have access to a computer might be a very difficult situation. I would also advocate that we think about how we can get maybe computer-science learning hubs, if possible, in local government, every local government of the 774 local government areas in Nigeria, thereby bringing it close to the people who are in hard-to-reach locations. Until we do that and make sure that inclusive learning and then all the opportunities are equal, some might be more equal than others, and we cannot afford to promote such kind of a program in the 21st century.
And Dr. Hayab, this conversation will not be complete as a parent yourself without, speaking on the role of parents, because we've had reports of some parents, supporting and also promoting means that their children allegedly, could engage in malpractice, examination malpractice. So as a parent and also, of course, a teacher, what would you advise?
That is unfortunate for a parent to support their children to be engaged in exam malpractice. Yeah, I am deeply involved with education. I'm a board chair in some schools. I've been in the PTA. And even in mission schools, people try to sell their ideas if we can support or help. I don't see how helping a child means helping the child to cheat. Parents must sit up. We must realize that once we don't teach these young people hard work now, then in the future, unfortunately, if we're not likely to be around, they will not be able to survive. So we must teach our children diligence. We must teach them honesty, and these are national values that we need to transfer to these kids. Exam malpractice is a no-go area for me, and I believe that it should be a no-go area for all parents. We should not be the ones to teach our children to err, because once we do that, tomorrow when they lie to us or when they cheat us, we are actually the ones who have actually dug a grave for ourselves. So the earlier we realize that there's a need for us to build the spirit of hard work, because a child who studies hard does not have to cheat to pass the exams. They will pass after all, when they work hard. So working hard should be what we should be talking about. And I believe strongly that all parents in this country must come together to preach to our children, to teach our children, and actually model for them to understand that they cannot make it by cutting corners. They have to work hard through the process, and that is the best way for us to go as a nation.
Indeed, and a fair and transparent process, of course, is what Nigerians want to see in the system. Thank you very much, Dr. Philip John Hayab, for your time on Weekend File.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's ponder on thoughts. So we take a break. Thank you for staying with us. On the global scene, U.S. President Donald Trump failed to secure a Ukraine war ceasefire at a high-stakes summit with Russia's President Vladimir Putin, but insisted he would now target a full peace agreement to end the conflict. Francis Udojo will tell us more.
3 hours of talks between the White House and Kremlin leaders at an Alaska airbase produced no breakthrough, but Trump and European leaders said they wanted a new summit that includes Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. The European leaders, who had been wary of being left out of the Alaska meeting, held their own talks and said they supported the proposed three-way summit, confirming his meeting with Zelensky on Monday. Trump called the meeting extremely productive, with many points agreed, but did not offer specifics.
Extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant.
We are counting on today's agreements to become the foundation not only to solving the Ukrainian issue, but also to serve as the starting point for restoring pragmatic and practical relations between Russia and the U.S. In another development, Ghana has bid a final farewell to the 8 victims of one of the country's worst air disasters in more than a decade. The tragedy occurred when a military helicopter carrying senior government officials and crew vanished from radar shortly after taking off from the capital, Accra. On board were Defense Minister Edward Omane Boama, Environment Minister Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, 4 other passengers and 2 crew members.
That I would like today to announce the government's decisions to honor the service of these individuals and secure the futures of those they left behind.
Francis Udojo, NTA News.
All right, let's do the sports business now, and Ayo Deji Makinde is set for us. Ayo.
Thanks so much, Ruth. Let's begin from athletics, where Tobia Muson's Diamond League campaign stayed alive, but in a dramatic fashion as she squeezed into the women's 100 meters hurdles final at the Silesia meeting. The Nigerian world record holder finished 4th in her semi-final with a time of 12.48 seconds, missing out on an automatic qualification behind Jamaica's Akera Nugent, Danielle Williams, and American Tonea Marshall. Amuson was forced to wait on times from the second semi-final, and her effort proved just enough to secure one of the non-automatic qualifying places in the final. Back in Nigeria, President Nigeria Weightlifting Federation Abdul Ibrahim has been re-elected unopposed to lead for another term of 4 years. The election, conducted under the supervision of the Sports Commission and the Nigeria Olympic Committee, saw delegates across the country reaffirm their confidence in his leadership. The re-elected president assured of transparency, accountability, and improved welfare for athletes and coaches as the federation prepares for upcoming continental and world championships.
We believe in the sport of weightlifting, and that's why we are here. We are passionate about it. I will be proud to see weightlifting to become the best and #1 sport in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, in Africa and in the world. That is our target.
Because I have studied for the past 4 years or the past 8 years, I know that I have studied that there is some kind of thing that is lacking, of which we have been doing before that was lacking in this last this thing. We have to bring it back. We have to.
Let's go to the world of the English Premier League, where 2 goals from Richarlison, including a stunning scissors kick, helped Thomas Frank win his first Premier League match in charge of Tottenham as a Spurs side stunned newly promoted Burnley 3-0. Returnees Sunderland got off to a flying start as the Black Cats earned a 3-0 win at home to West Ham United, who have now lost the opening match of a Premier League season more than any other side in history. Meanwhile, Brighton were denied the chance to earn a 5th consecutive opening day victory after Fulham netted a 97th minute equalizer for a 1-1 draw at the MX Stadium. Other results saw Newcastle United held at home to a goalless draw against Fulham as Manchester City beat Wolverhampton Wanderers. On Sunday, to be the turn of the marquee fixture between Manchester United and Arsenal at Old Trafford. And that's your sports. It's back to Ruth.
I look forward to that match. Man U and Arsenal.
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
But let's check out tomorrow's weather. We'll be back.
Welcome to Sunday's weather forecast. Colder temperatures are expected to persist across the country as thunderstorms and rains remain the prevailing weather. So please stay protected from the cold. Into the forecast, northern region is expected to experience morning thunderstorms across most parts of the region, while in the north-central parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Plateau, and Cross River states, morning rains are expected. Later during the day, isolated rains are anticipated in the southern region and the north-central states, while up north, thunderstorms are expected with the exception of parts of Sokoto, Zamfara, and Kebbi states, where clearer skies are anticipated. That's the forecast. Join us again.
There you have it. But tomorrow, August 16th, is World Pedestrian Day. Well, it may sound not too serious, but for some, it is indeed a serious issue. And many lives have been lost as a result of not being observant enough or by careless drivers. So it's a day to raise awareness about pedestrian safety and promote responsible walking habits. There is need to highlight the importance of respecting traffic signals, looking both ways before crossing, and being visible to drivers, especially
to be known for your achievements or activities.
Then look crosswalks, obey traffic signals, and be mindful of your surrounding, when working. Avoid distractions like the use of your mobile phones, which we see happen all the time, or wearing headphones while crossing the street. So set a good example by practicing safe pedestrian habits and encourage others to do the same. And on that note, we call it a night on Weekend File. Thank you for being part of it. I'm Ruth Aguele. Good night.